Hi, this is Coach Colette, host of the Start Within podcast, and welcome to this week's episode of Financial Fridays. Well, there are a number of celebrations for the month of April. One that I want to focus on today is National African American Women's Fitness Month. And why do I bring this up today? Well, today is National Walk to Work Day. Now, I know that many of us are working from home, and yet we still need to be thinking about our physical activity. How often are you moving your body? Studies are showing that we're exercising less than usual during the pandemic, while we sit and look at screens even more. In a sample of about 3,000 U.S. adults, those who were already meeting exercise guidelines before the pandemic reported an average 32% reduction in their physical activity once social distancing measures went into effect. And we know that this impact of COVID-19 has been far worse for people of color. COVID-19 profoundly impacts people with heart disease and disproportionately impacts Black people. Black women are often at the intersection of the worst economic and health disparities, according to Dr. Michelle Albert, a cardiologist and professor of medicine at the University of California, San Francisco. 4 out of 5 Black women are considered overweight, which is the highest rate of any group in the U.S., and we're 60% more likely to have high blood pressure than our white counterparts. This is according to the U.S. Office of Minority Health. So, what can we do? Here are some ways to move your body more. The first is to find movements that are fun for you. If you think it's fun, if you enjoy it, you're more likely to do it. 2, particularly during the pandemic, find time to stand up during the day. Perhaps it means shifting some of your Zoom meetings to calls so that you can walk around. And if you're like me, living in New York in the Northeast, the weather's getting warmer. The sun is shining longer. Perhaps some of those walking call meetings can be outside. 3, drink lots of water to stay hydrated. And 4, schedule breaks specifically for moving. And I think that that's really important, particularly as many of us are still working from home and spending a lot of time in front of our laptops and phones. Put it in your calendar, set an alarm, have an app that reminds you to stand up, move around, walk about. And if you're cleaning 1,000 times a day like I am, put on some music and dance while you clean. Just find ways to activate, get motivated, and get moving. That's all for me for now. Get ready and listen up to today's tip from Suki Singh.
Hello everyone, this is Suki Singh, aka Investing, with your weekly Financial Friday tip. With the market recently moving lower, is your portfolio protected? Now is the time to brush up on your portfolio and see, in case of a down move, how much you would lose if the market moves lower. So be aware and protect your portfolio at all costs. That said, that is your weekly Financial Friday tip, and I'll speak to you soon. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
Hey, it's Coach Colette. You may have felt like you just survived 2020. What would it be like to thrive in 2021? Notwithstanding the external forces over which you have no control, what would it be like to make even a small shift this year? Can you imagine what it will be like at the end of this year when you reflect on all that you have created? It is possible when you start within, and I'd like to help you do it. You can visit my website, startwithincoaching.com, and at the top, click Start Here to schedule your complimentary activation call. We can talk about what's going on in your life right now and where you'd like to be. So go to startwithincoaching.com, click Start Here, and let's start your journey within. Hey there, I'm back with this week's Unplugged segment. So earlier in the week, I had a day where I had about 5 back-to-back Zoom meetings. And wouldn't you know it, after the second one, my internet cut out. And so then I had to call the company and figure it out, and they had no answer as to why it had happened or when it was going to be turned back on. And so then I went into the frantic trying to get phone numbers and emailing and saying to the people, can we possibly move our conversation to a phone call because, Zoom's not going to work without internet. And then sure, wouldn't you know it, just when I had gotten those things set up and arranged, my internet came back on. So it's those funny moments. It really wasn't funny in the moment, I'll say that for sure. But after the fact, reflecting back on it, that panic mode that I had, it's not funny, but it's interesting how much of a habit Zoom has become. So we know that more of us are starting to get vaccinated. My parents are both fully vaccinated. I have yet to figure out my vaccination plan. But that means that more of us are getting back to, I don't even want to say normal, because I think in the past year, I've noticed there's this clinging to how can we get back to the way things were before. And I read a study from the American Psychological Association that said there are higher percentages of Black, Latinx, and Asian adults who are not quite as, shall we say, excited about getting back to life exactly as it was pre-pandemic. And I imagine some of that has to do not just with the pandemic or COVID-19 itself. It also has to do with what's happening in the nation with social justice and racial justice issues. This prompts me to ask you, are there habits that you've picked up during the past year that you want to either continue as we move post-pandemic, or are there habits that you are so excited to let go of as we move into post-pandemic? Are there things that you were doing pre-pandemic that you can't wait to get back to doing? Or are there things that, I haven't missed doing that? And it's interesting to just think about it. And as we are moving forward, you know that it can always be helpful to reflect back. What has changed for you internally, mindset-wise, attitude-wise, for you in the past year? I feel a little more unapologetic, if you will. I guess I'm a little more sorry, not sorry, #. I feel like I have rediscovered my voice in many ways, even just doing this Unplugged segment, telling on myself, and also telling on things that I see in the world. I think it was 2019 on my Instagram profile, I had created the tile that said I was a #truthsayer. And I thought that I was then, but I feel like I'm even more of a truthsayer or a truth teller now. So this can be a really good time to reflect on what you've learned about yourself in this past year. the things that you are excited about, the things that you appreciate in yourself, the ways that you have grown, the ways that you have matured, and really begin to celebrate those aspects of yourself. We also are just starting a new second quarter of the year. So if you are not necessarily thinking about a full year, you can even just be thinking about it in the first quarter of this year. What are those things that you're most proud of? What accomplishments have you had? What are you excited about? What are you looking to manifest and create this quarter of the year? And I know if you're not a business owner, you may not think about life in quarters. So think about it from a transition from winter into spring. What are you excited to plant and watch bloom as this spring season takes off? As for the internet and Zoom meetings and working from home versus working in an office or co-working space, to be honest, the jury is still out for me in terms of when I'll feel completely comfortable leading sessions in person. The last couple of group workshops I've facilitated online, I know that I have missed that connection and being able to see the light bulbs go on, if you will, in people's eyes as I'm talking or as we are discussing issues. So I know that on the inside, I really miss that connection that comes from live groups and live workshops and live circles. And yet, I guess because I still have yet to be vaccinated, I'm not really in a rush to get back to that. So I guess stay tuned on the Start Within podcast, as I also am living through this journey with you of how is it that we start to move back to, again, I hesitate to say normal, but as we get back to a newer normal of life post-pandemic. So if you are vaccinated, amazing, yay, happy for you. If you are yet to be vaccinated like me, still happy for you because there still is the possibility for us to get it. And I hope that we stay hopeful. And if you still have some hesitation or anxiety about all of this, know that you are not alone. We have been dealing with this situation for over a year now, and there is still a lot of uncertainty, and we are still taking risks in many ways in our lives. And even all of our regular daily activities, if they are outside of our homes, still involves some level of risk and still involves a lot of decision making, even just to go around the corner to run an errand. So know that you're not alone. I hope that you can find community. I hope that you can find people to talk about this with, whether that's friends, family, or coaches or therapists. It's important that we get to share how we're feeling, reflect on how we're feeling, and make the best decisions that we can make in the moment. We're all just doing the best that we can, and that's about all we can ask right now. That's all for me for now. As always, take care of yourself, get in some self-care this weekend, nourish yourself, and we'll be speaking again soon. So what is your takeaway from this week's Financial Fridays segment? What might you do differently around your money and your mindset? For more financial advice, you can check out Suki's podcast, Invest Sing, where I also share tips on his Wellness Wednesdays segment. If you enjoyed this episode and haven't already subscribed, you can do so on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen. You can also connect with me on Instagram at Coach_Colette for more inspiration on personal growth and wellness. Tune in next Friday for another episode and get ready to start within to finish strong.